There's absolutely no question that raw selvage denim is my favorite garment in menswear, and it has been for more than a decade now, and it is the reason why I got into fashion in the first place. Not just raw denim, but denim itself, the quality that it has, the history of denim, and just the overall style and look of Americana. And ever since I first got into raw selvage denim when Nudie Jeans dropped their first marketing materials for what raw denim is, there has been a lot of controversy from raw denim heads and non-denim heads alike, even the general public that doesn't really understand what raw denim is. And it's always about whether or not is selvage denim a better garment? Is it really worth it to wear your jeans for so long and not wash them? Is it sanitary? Is it this, that, and the third? There is so much discussion over these particular points of this one subcategory of men's fashion, but the biggest question that seems to be asked all the time is it really worth it to get selvage denim, whether it's raw denim or not? Because as most of us know who are into fashion, raw denim and selvage denim in and of itself is definitely a lot more expensive. It's more highly sought after than not, and there are so many different intricacies, different things that you have to take into account to really get you to that final answer of is selvage denim really worth it? Now the thing is, at this point in 2025, raw selvage denim in the past 2 years has really exploded in popularity. Granted, raw selvage denim has had a subculture of followers literally stemming from the 90s, and it has always been consistently growing and trying to make itself more accessible to the general public. It just so happens to be trending right now, and thankfully we do have a lot more affordable options for raw selvage denim that are good. But again, is selvage denim with and without these options really worth it? Well, exactly that is going to be today's main topic of discussion, because I've been studying and immersing myself in the raw denim community for about 2 years now on YouTube, and even before that I was heavily into raw denim in high school, and I had studied and amassed so much knowledge in what is the nuance of raw selvage denim. And I can definitely tell you that the quick answer is that it's very dependent on the person, on the climate that you live in, the type of lifestyle that you live, and really what your needs are when it comes to jeans, and most of all what you're looking to get out of them. Now what do I mean by that? A lot of the allure in selvage denim is that typically it is associated with raw denim, which is a denim that is unwashed. Sometimes it is rinsed, or sometimes it is sanforized to eliminate shrinkage or to uphold a certain standard of quality control. But oftentimes these come to you super raw, straight off the loom, without ever having touched water. And these jeans are actually going to fade over time, and they're going to mold, they're going to crease, and they're going to age with the way that you live your life. And the thing is, with that type of denim, usually there's going to be a price point that is associated with it, especially in the selvage category. But I do want to say not all selvage denim is raw denim, and not all raw denim is selvage denim, but typically that's the association, and a lot of times that is what you're paying for. So what I mean when I say what you're looking for to get out of the jeans is if you're looking for something that you can really invest time in, that you could really fade down to your own body type, that is one key factor to keep in mind when purchasing a pair of jeans, because you really want to think about, is it worth it for you to do that? Is that something that you're looking for? Or are you looking for a pair of jeans that's already kind of pre-faded, it's already pre-softened, it's something that you won't care if you get it dirty or soiled because you're just going to wash it anyways? And this is just one example of how lifestyle really determines whether or not it's worth it to get a pair of selvage denim jeans as opposed to pre-washed jeans or non-selvage denim in and of itself. Another thing that you want to keep in mind is that just because selvage denim is selvage doesn't necessarily 100% mean that it's better than every other single pair of non-selvage denim jeans out there, because that's just simply not true. Selvage denim really only refers to the self-edge of the denim fabric that is woven on a shuttle loom, which is a very specific loom that was used way back when, before projectile looms became popular use by factories in the 60s, I believe. And the difference between these two is that shuttle looms produce fabric at a much slower rate, as well as creating a smaller fabric in terms of width. So inadvertently, you actually need a lot more length to create a garment, as opposed to denim fabric woven on the projectile loom. And the thing with the shuttle loom loom is that the weft yarn, from what I understand, is woven in one continuous line with the warp, as opposed to the projectile loom, which will actually use compressed air to shoot it across the warp that will then be snipped and cut to create another layer of yarn that is going to go through the same process. Now, there is the argument to be made that because the yarn from the shuttle loom is not snipped, it's one continuous yarn, that it could be stronger than projectile loom fabric, but at the end of the day, I think that's only marginally true. And in fact, it creates a lot more questions, because the shuttle loom, while yes, it does utilize that continuous yarn, you also have to take into account that these machines were not creating the most perfect fabrics. There was a lot of slub in them. There is a lot of low tension denim that is out there because of not just the nature of the machinery, but also because brands will oftentimes create what's called loom chatter, where they will purposely make an irregular pattern within the looming to create that kind of slubby texture. The projectile loom typically is pretty consistent when it comes to creating fabric, and usually, if not ever, really has any slub to it. I don't think I've ever really seen a projectile loom make slubby fabric, but the point being is that these slubby or low tension jeans might arguably have a little bit less of a durability factor as opposed to certain projectile loom jeans. And another thing that you have to keep in mind is the cotton, because you can technically use any type of cotton to make a selvage denim. It might not necessarily be conducive because of the cost, which is why a lot of selvage denim manufacturers tend to use better cotton to justify and offset the cost and be able to convey why these jeans are much more expensive to the end consumer. Where projectile looms, they're pretty cheap, they're very quick, but the same goes for that projectile loom, where you can put any type of cotton that you want in there. You can utilize any type of spinning method for the cotton, and theoretically for both machines, you can make a very good garment and you can make a very bad garment. A lot of it boils down to what type of cotton is used, the spinning method, in conjunction with the machine that's used, and a few other subtle factors that really determine whether or not selvage denim is worth it for you. Another thing that I want to talk about is construction, because a lot of times selvage denim brands not only will take heritage inspiration from the fabric, but they will also take heritage inspiration from the construction of vintage jeans. And at the end of the day, technology is completely different now than it was back then. We have a lot stronger construction methods than we ever have. And quite honestly, a lot of selvage denim doesn't necessarily have the strongest construction in the world. It just happens to mirror how jeans were made back then, because a lot of these brands are started by passionate raw selvage denim artisans and experts that want to mirror the look and the feel of what was American heritage style culture. And one prime example is that a lot of selvage denim brands utilize what is called an overlock or a surge seam, which is a seam that is used to finish off a raw edge and actually cuts the fabric as it is being sewn down. And while there's nothing wrong with the overlock, it's a pretty good seam, especially for garments that have stretch, because the overlock seam will move and bend and mold itself. There is another seam that is primarily used in denim today, and that seam is the flat felled seam, which is a very strong, super durable seam where you take the fabric and you lap it over itself, and then you sew down both sides of the seam. And what that does is it creates such a level of strength and durability that I always joke and say that if your jeans are going to deteriorate, this is going to be the last thing that's left when everything else on your jeans is gone. It is one of the strongest seams that you could get, and most selvage denim brands do not utilize this seam because it's not necessarily 100% traditional from what I understand. With that being said though, there are a few selvage denim brands that aren't necessarily 100% heritage inspired. They love raw denim, they love jeans, but they will actually utilize this seam. A couple of brands that come to mind are Left Field NYC, even Pure Blue Japan, Naked and Famous does them on certain jeans. So this is something that you really want to look out for if you're trying to get something that's super durable and don't 100% care about heritage inspired raw selvage denim, but just want a nice pair of jeans that's going to fade and it's going to last you a long time. And I mean, there's a couple of other construction details to look look out for, such as tucked in belt loops, back pocket rivets, sometimes even a crotch rivet, which is a lot less common these days. That one's actually pretty hard to find, but we are going to talk about that in another video, so I'm not going to stretch too much on that today, but we will get there, I promise you guys. Another thing that I want to talk about that a lot of other people haven't spoken about when it comes to Selvedge Denim, and this is something that I actually learned from Bezad, who at one point worked at Naked and Famous, which is a great raw denim brand. Bezad is a true manufacturing genius and is a great friend of mine, who now spearheads his own brand Wonder Looper along with his wife Risa. And one day he was talking about a lot of what you pay for in Selvedge denim, especially Japanese denim, is the fact that Japan takes a lot of extra steps towards the safety and removal of dye waste, which is something that's really not spoken about too much when it comes to raw denim. But the thing is, guys, jeans, denim, whether it's raw or not, whether it's selvage or not, it is very wasteful a lot of times, especially when it comes to pre-washed denim or stone-washed denim. The synthetic dyes are not necessarily the best for the environment, and sometimes even natural dyes are not the best for the environment either if they're not disposed of correctly. But a lot of what you pay for when you're getting these jeans from Japan is that you are paying for the cost of supporting this dye removal, which is something that is very important to the Japanese because they want to preserve their environment and have as little impact on raw denim jeans as possible. So that's another thing that you really have to take into account, is whether or not do you really value paying for that type of responsibility when it comes to the manufacturing and the consumerism of denim or not. But yeah, guys, all of these things are the questions that come together that you have to ask yourself when deciding, is Selvedge denim worth it for you or not? Not everybody wants a pair of jeans that is going to fade down over time. I've actually been getting a lot of comments from people asking how they can stop the fading of jeans because they don't necessarily like it. There are a lot of people that don't necessarily find the idea of wearing your jeans without washing them for so long alluring. There are some people that just don't like the look of Selvedge denim, and I mean, I get it, that's fair. It depends on what you're looking for, it depends on the brand that you're buying from, it depends on your lifestyle, it depends on your needs. That's why, unfortunately, I can't give you a definitive answer, because at the end of the day, you have to come to that conclusion yourself. But what I will do is I will create a playlist of a bunch of my favorite raw denim reviews, not just from my channel, but from a bunch of other channels as well. Some of my favorites like CRD, The Iron Snail, Stridewise, Drew Joyner. A lot of these guys, I'm gonna put a bunch of videos in the playlist, and either I'm gonna put it in one of the cards here where you could see it on screen, or I'll put the link in the description if YouTube will allow me. And this will be your guide to figure out, not just from my channel, but from other channels as well, what type of denim you should get and what type of denim is right for you. And I'm sorry I couldn't give you guys a better answer, but at the end of the day, this is a labor of love, and this is a garment that you're gonna have for a really, really long time, and you want to do a little bit of research on it before you take the deep dive. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching the video, and I have to say, this journey has been super incredible. As of my birthday, which was a couple of days ago, we're almost at 10K subs. I really wanted to be at 10K by my birthday, but I'm still, regardless, so happy and proud. We're at about 9,100 at the time of recording this, and that's good enough for me, guys. I couldn't be more thankful and appreciative. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I'm planning some really exciting stuff to celebrate 10K, so definitely stay tuned for that. And if you guys have any other suggestions or comments as towards whether or not Selvedge denim is worth it, definitely let me know down in the comments. You never know who you're helping out. And also, at the end of the day, I always say I love to learn from you guys as much as you learn from me. So please feel free to drop anything in the comments, guys. I love and appreciate y'all so much. And with that being said, thank you guys again, and I'll see you next week.